This podcast is not affiliated or endorsed by anyone at Zaum Studio or anyone involved in the creation of Disco Elysium. Three Detectives in a Trench Coat contains spoilers for Disco Elysium: The Final Cut. If you have not played the game, proceed with caution.
Disco Elysium is a game about sex, drugs, and disco, and politics, and violence, and drugs, and sometimes those drugs are used by children, and sometimes the violence is aimed at children, and generally is a game for 18s or over. Proceed with caution, as we will be discussing themes within the game.
This episode was recorded on the 11th of April 2023. We present Mutually Assured Destruction, the podcast.
Beautiful. Well, temporal confusion is the name of the game today, listeners, because what happened? Where am I?
That's very disco.
What's in my inventory? Why is this person yelling at me? Three detectives in a trench coat. Three detectives in a trench coat.
Yes, what my colleague, my detective colleague here is trying to communicate is that we have not recorded in about 3 months, and we have all forgotten where we were in Disco Elysium. We've all forgotten what we were doing. We've all forgotten our names. We've forgotten what we look like. We're staring in the mirror and being horrified and perplexed at what we are looking at. So yeah, we're going to be jumping into this kind of blind. I think we're maybe going to forego the what we're hoping to achieve, because I think we're all just hoping to achieve something. I think it's the kind of generous,
Remember what we were doing. I think
if we can all get to the end of Tuesday.
Were we on?
Yeah,
we were on Tuesday, weren't we? Yeah, we've only done one day.
It is currently Tuesday, so hopefully we will get to the end of the day out of game.
Fingers
at least.
Crossed.
Should we? Should we talk a little bit about the gap, or as in the recording gap? Or?
We can talk about the gap, I guess. Yeah, I mean, this is a semi-chat podcast.
I guess so.
Where we kind of, I mean, what's been interesting is the sort of dissolution of Disco of Zaum has sort of happened while we've been sort of away. So everyone's sort of settled, not amicably though.
It got settled. I just haven't been keeping up with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. So I think 2 of the 3 plaintiffs have settled out of court, or enough evidence has been provided to the court that they don't need to settle. Everything is not hunky-dory over at Zaum Studios, but they're still working on Disco Elysium 2. Who knows what it will be like? Probably bourgeois, patented nonsense.
Do you think it's going to go the way of Beyond Good and Evil 2, as in the game, not the book? As far as I'm aware, there was never going to be a sequel to the book, but as in the video game.
I mean, Nietzsche wrote a lot, so I bet somewhere in his notes. I'm hoping I've got that right.
I don't know. I think that is Nietzsche. Beyond Good and Evil.
Man is dead and God has killed him.
Beyond Good and Evil. Beyond
the Ubermensch loses all his powers and has to get them back through a series of trials. So my thought is it will be like the gas leak year of Community. Oh. Or like seasons 5 to 7 of The West Wing, you know, where the Mavericks are taken off the helm, and it's like, well, what do? You either do pastiche or you do something new, and I reckon they'll fall into pastiche.
I mean, maybe. Well, it's really hard to make a sequel if you're the original creator, right? Like, this could, this could be any one of 100 sequels. It could be the Muppets Most Wanted, right? But then
Revachel's Most Wanted. I'd love a Disco Elysium Muppets crossover.
But yeah, it could also be Star Wars Episode 5, right? Maybe there's a little Yoda coming our way, right? So there could be. It's gonna go one of many ways, and we should give them all, just mostly because, and the thing I'm a bit disappointed by in society is that I haven't really seen any Disco Elysium-like games that have come out. I say this, I am also the person in the group who doesn't really follow the games industry and hasn't played many games. But in the 5-ish months since we started playing this game at a rate of about 1 hour per month, I have played a few more games, and I've not really found anything like this.
I mean, I think I think it's something I didn't fully appreciate when we started playing. But like somebody, I was watching a video essay, and they basically the line they said was, "We are now living in a post Disco Elysium world," where like it did radically shift. Like it was such a groundbreaking game, and I think people haven't quite figured out how to make something like Disco Elysium yet, because it is such a complex web, and it's such a we can talk about things like Heaven's Vault, I think it's called, that I think came out before Disco Elysium but uses the same text engine, so it still has the same level of depth, but it's less of a political game. It's more about language. So I think
that sounds fun.
I think there are games out there that are like Disco Elysium, but I don't think
there's another Disco Elysium.
Yeah, I don't think at this point, at time of recording, there is not another Disco Elysium.
I suppose it's quite hard to imitate, right? In the sense that you have a first-person shooter, all you kind of have to do is change. If you change the setting and then like what weapons are available in that setting, and then what the availability of those weapons are, you can just change like a lot of the narrative of what's going on in the game, but it's essentially going to be the same experience. So people will see it as a new experience, whereas it would be hard to recreate the enjoyment of this game without imitating some of the setting, right? You could, because what we're really getting, what I'm enjoying certainly in it is trying to solve a murder while figuring out who I am, while kind of being led into the far extremes of different political ideals and exploration of psychology, and there's a lot of complexity to it. And if anyone were to recreate that complexity, they've essentially recreated the setting and the mechanics at the same time. You can't just say, okay, this but with zombies, and it still be good. I don't
My brain is ticking.
Oh,
yeah, my brain is ticking after that. It's like, what would zombies say? What does it say about love and death with zombies? So, you know what it really reminds me of? It reminds like you could do this, but it would have to be I Am Legend, like the book.
Oh, right.
That just sort of man's descent into madness as society descends into vampirism.
I mean, I wasn't looking to challenge you on the idea that zombies couldn't be added to this game.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. You're right. I Am Legend is this with zombies. Okay, I stand corrected.
But yeah, I was going to say that we do have an opportunity to sort of get a taste of what Disco Elysium 2 will be like through a sort of additional bit of content that they added during the sort of the...
Oh, do I have to...
What do they call it? During the director's cut, which is the vision quests.
Okay.
So there are vision quests in which you may stumble across. I have yet to stumble across one.
Okay, yeah.
But apparently those bits are written by the sort of the core staff, rather than the warrior monk poet, monk author Robert. What's his name? The guy who wrote the first million words of Disco Elysium, basically.
Okay, so there is an opportunity. So I do have a little update option here. Should we be updating the game to the newest patch, or?
I would, if you haven't updated it before now, I'd say no, but update it for next time, because the thing they've added is the collage mode. That is the other thing they've added since we last chatted. Which is basically, you can now use your favorite Disco Elysium characters as dolls. You can get Harry and Kim to kiss.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you'd use it for. I'm sure there are other uses for it, but that's the one that immediately
basically just remaking all the source videos from the early 2000s, right? Like the Got Soup sketch, like just remake that, but in Disco Elysium. Like that's all this is going to be.
Oh, let me throw one out. Did you ever see Yeah Toast?
No.
Oh, Yeah Toast. I'll send it to the chat later, but it's a very good one with the engine.
Sorry, welcome to the podcast where we discuss videos
Hello,
from the 2000s.
Yes, you're listening to Three Detectives. The title drop.
Should we?
Amazing.
Can I talk about my Kim Kitsugari coat?
Absolutely,
have gone away with multiple.
So,
You didn't have to pay 300 quid for it.
No, I didn't. I paid considerably less for it, but still a not insignificant amount of money.
It is a dead ringer.
So I was at a, because I'm cool, I was at a vegan market over the weekend. And basically, it was held in like a leisure centre in a town near where I live. And
what's like the opposite of a name drop? like a personality drop. I don't know.
I guess you'd call it virtue signaling or like a humble brag. I don't know.
Humble brag. I think a humble brag might be.
There's no way for me to say I was at a vegan market over the weekend without sounding like a prick. So I just sort of lent into it, I guess.
I guess the only way you could sound more like a prick is I was at a vegan market eating an egg and bacon sandwich.
We went along. We ate lots of really good food. They had vegan fish and chips, which was just incredible. Oh my god, I could spend a lot of time talking about it, but I'm not going to. Bought a lot of cake. Bought some pastries. Had a lovely time. But also there was a clothes stand that was sort of selling, handmade clothing, and then there was a lot of skirts, there was a lot of trousers, and I wanted to buy all of it really, but the hanging up on like above, like on a high up sort of rack, was this orange jacket, and as soon as I came into the market, my eyes were just drawn to it, and I went, "That's the Kim Kitsugari jacket. I need it." So I was very mature. I was very much just like, I basically went, okay,
play it cool.
I'm going to play it cool. I'm not going to look. I tried not to look directly at it. So I was going around all the other stalls, and then we sort of stopped to have some food, and then we're like, right, what's our plan? Where are we going next? And I sort of went, I kind of want to go over to the clothes stand over there, just kind of seeing what it is, trying desperately to contain my excitement, because none of the two people I was with have even heard of Disco Elysium. So I'm like, there is no possible way I can explain to you what I'm going through right now. So I beeline over to this place, and like, again, try to do the cool thing. I sort of look at a couple of the other things, look at some of the racks, and things, grab the jacket. And then like, I'm like, I'm okay to try it on. Yeah. So try it on. And it's perfect. It fits perfectly. Like it doesn't have like the cool sort of.
This is why I envy skinny people.
Well, it was a medium, so I was really worried. But because I'm normally because I am but a small bean. But it doesn't quite have the cool midriff thing that Kim Kitsuragi's jacket has. But it's like an orange bomber jacket basically. But the really cool thing about it, right? So I didn't realize this until I had it on. But it's reversible, and the inside of it is made from recycled saris. So it's this amazing. Incredible. I'll have to send a picture. I'll put a picture in the chat after the call. Not for you listeners, for us, because as much as I know podcasts like this are about developing parasociality, we're not your friends. But unless we actually know you, in which case, hi, thank you for listening.
Yeah, depending on the number of listeners we get, because if there's fewer than 20, you are our friends.
It is the official policy of Three Detectives in a Trench Coat for you to get fucked.
For the 2 or 3 people that...
And leave us alone.
For the 2 or 3 people that don't actually know us in real life. Anyway, so...
I mean, I'll say hi.
I won't.
I like
Come up to
people.
me and James and get a frosty reception.
Yeah, from one of us.
See, I'm a people pleaser, so I'll be like, forget what I said, let's be friends. Anyway, so I now own a Kim Kitsugari style jacket, and also I put my non-binary Star Trek pin on one side of it, so it's very much crossing all the fandoms, which is great.
May I ask a gauche question?
Of course, always. That's what this podcast is for.
I'll ask it in French to make it even gaucher.
To make it lefter.
So, make it lefter. Wow. In a podcast about
Ghost question in French. You're making it lefter.
Qu'est-ce que le damage?
So it cost me... I won't tell you exactly how much it was, but it cost me less than half of what you'd have to pay for the
That's good.
For the official jacket. In fact,
Less than half, more than a third?
yes. That's a good way of putting it. But it was
fucking worth it.
It supported a small clothing press that make all the clothes themselves. Yeah. It uses recycled clothing, upcycled clothing. Beautiful. So it was.
Well, the question is, do you like it and will you wear it? Right? Because
I have already worn it everywhere, James.
Great. So well,
that was it. I was like,
it's already been made.
The only way that it could be more legit is if you found it on, like, hung up on a lamppost somewhere.
Exactly right.
Oh my goodness.
But
I still can't get over the fact. So I still can't get over episode 3 where we saw a perfectly serviceable pair of boots in the street, and all three of us were like,
yeah, because we were
plus one to morale right there.
We were speaking about James still not having 2 shoes in the game. Obviously, in real life, I'm assuming James has at least one pair of shoes.
It took me ages.
and as we were doing this, we were walking down like a sort of alleyway to get to this theater space, and then so there was like a pair of shoes next to a dumpster, and all of us like stopped talking to briefly look at these abandoned shoes.
Might fit. Who knows? This jacket is I think it's Kim's jacket. I think that's like.
I'm sure.
It's like an orange bomber.
Yes, there we go. Orange bomber. It looks slightly reflective. It's got a kind of long black zip down the front, and a black collar. Like, and it's almost like a very short, small neck in the middle of it, which
gives you +1 to pinball.
So
I think you could walk onto a building site and people might not look at you twice because it's got that kind of safety vest kind of orange to it.
No, I disagree.
It's
It's
still talking about
orange, is what I'm saying.
Are we still talking about the jacket, or is this?
We're still talking about the jacket.
I mean, I think the issue of walking onto a building site was that I think it'd be me that would be the giveaway rather than the jacket. I think. But
I'm here to.
Are you going to do an impression of me, Ollie?
I'm here to lift goodness.
Oh yes, Dev.
Yeah,
Famously
listeners, that was Ollie, by the way. Just so you know that wasn't in fact me talking.
Just to separate any confusion, because Dev has recently become a.
I am Bruce straight from the source.
Yeah, Dev has
There we
recently
go.
become a
I'm
turnip
done.
farmer in the Southern American states, so that does make sense.
I mean, cosplaying and like getting. I think there is something about disco fashion, the Disco Elysium fashion.
I have seen a few cosplayers.
Everyone
yeah.
is just so effortlessly cool,
Yes.
including other than Harrier, other than your titular detective. Everyone is just a vision of just chic.
Yes.
Even if they're like, completely destitute. There's just, everyone just has an aesthetic going on. Actually, one of the things I loved, because I've looked at a couple of behind the scenes things, odds and sods. There's loads of like sketches of what like Harrier was going to look like, what the main detective was going to look like, and then there's like one sketch of Kim. And they just nailed it immediately. Like, yeah, that's Kim. That's what Kim looks like.
I have seen a few things around just because I've been using Tumblr more. Tumblr has got to know me a lot better, and it just seems that like everyone just seems to agree that Kim is just the coolest, and that Kim is sort of the moral center of the game almost, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, I have seen a lot of Disco Elysium themed shit posts, which is always a joy.
It's wonderful. It's the bit that I'm most excited about you guys finishing the game for, so I can send you the ones with the spoilers in. Have I sent you the one that's the game changer deviled egg? The deviled egg on the windowsill has been sitting.
Yes,
I
have.
How it's been sitting out there.
I think that came to me organically through TikTok. So yes, I love that. I love that very much.
Beautiful. Well, have we got anything else to say, or shall we dive into playing this raucous game of ours?
Yes, I think let's try and remember who we are and what we were doing.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm Ollie.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I'm in the middle of the trench coat.
Hi, I'm Dev. I'm the. Oh, which way are we facing? Are we like looking at the picture or like in the picture?
Oh. Do it to the left or right of me. Again, that doesn't.
That's just a different way of phrasing the same problem.
Stage. We'll do it stage. Stage left, stage right.
What does that mean? Standing on the stage or from the audience's perspective?
It's from the audience's perspective.
Okay, so I am the.
Wait, hold on. Am I wrong?
It might be. I can't remember.
Every single person I know that works in theatre, we have this exact same discussion anytime we have to do anything in a theatre.
Stage left? Which left? Your left or my left or the audience left? I think James is right. I think you're right, James.
I don't know anymore.
What's the name of the Scottish play? Don't say it. Anyway, sorry.
The area of the stage to
where did you stop beating your wife?
The area of the area of the stage to the left of centre stage when facing the audience.
Oh my god!
So it's if you're looking at the audience, stage left is your left. So
it's also like, what? Why are we doing it based on the image, rather than just saying, "Hi, I'm James, and I'm the newbie to the group." In terms of, and "Hi, I'm Dev. I've not played this before either, but I have played." Like, why are we doing it in terms of like? Okay,
are you really having an exercise?
We got shiny new.
Are you?
We know you're driving, but take a look down at your phone for a second and look at the episode.
Are you? Are you really having? Like, are you really having an existential crisis about the introductions now? 7 episodes in.
25 minutes in.
Anyone listening to this, I commend you for getting this far in without this level of curiosity, but also staying with us while we manage to get through introducing ourselves.
Oh, good lord.
Oh, God. I'm so glad I'm not editing this.
Well, I am.
I'll be cleaning it up, so I get to listen to all of this.
Oh, enjoy.
Yes, sorry. So
right.
so that's Ollie. I'm Dev.
I'm Ollie. I'm Ollie. I'm the competent one.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
So I'm Dev. This is my first time playing Disco Elysium, but I play a lot of video games in general.
I'm James. This is also my first time playing Disco Elysium, and I've been playing since we started playing Disco Elysium. I have been playing games anew for the first time in a very long time. The last game I played before this was when Beyond Good and Evil came out, so it's been a long time. But since this came out, I have also played I think 4 or 5 games in full. So I now know a little bit more about how video games. I'm sad now.
Well,
and with that,
that's the end of that conversation. Let's play some fucking video games.
Let's get even sadder, everyone.
Let's get sad.
Okay.
Let's get sad brackets deep. I guess.
Yeah. Although advantage of this chat is that I did actually click on update, and I am now updated with the latest patch.
Oh, beautiful!
So there we go. I'm now playing the latest patch of the game, which oh my goodness, it's no longer a murder mystery. It's now an Easter egg hunt. No. Happy Easter is my time recording, by the way.
The bloody shills who own the company now turned it into an Easter egg hunt. There's a new hat you can get, which is just a set of bunny ears.
More like Disco Elysium, am I right?
Oh my god.
Disco Elysium.
That's such a it's good. Yep.
Don't damn me with faint praise, James.
I really like puns. I really like puns.
I managed to very much upset someone the other day by saying something was very droll.
Oh yes, very right.
Hello, it's Oliver Morris, the tallest and therefore the most tired of the 3 detectives. Just letting you know that we have a patron and that you can be part of the patron. We have bonus content. We have an excerpt that I've just cut from this about The Witcher that will probably go up there. We've got behind the scenes content, and you can get episodes early. And if you do that, then you can support the show and stop there from being like real ads, which is like gross. So yeah, that's all. Enjoy the show. The more you talk to people, the more you learn. The sort of the web of sort of humanity sort of unveils itself, I guess. So, James had a bath and is in a puddle. I died, and I got shot, and Dev is learning about the Pale. I think that's
yes. I've had many. Basically, I had an actual progression through finding out about the Pale, and I think the other big thing is that I found a map, and the map makes everything so much easier.
I'm so excited about getting a map one day.
And also, I read all of Hjelmdalaman's The Man from Hjelmendal, and I love it very much. I can't wait for the sequel. I took time to read the whole goddamn book. It was amazing.
Oh man, I got
it was
so
like
much...
Klingon fan fiction. I loved it.
Great. I got so much done, Ollie. I got so much done, Dev. I got so much done. I got the body down from the tree.
Yes, at last.
Oh my god! I went back to inspect it because I thought, well, maybe I have it, and then I was like, oh, there's an option to inspect to finish the inspection, and then it was like, oh, we need the body down. Then I went to Everard and I got the racist to get the body down, and I hung out there for a while, and then I got the body down, and then there was at some point, before that there was an opportunity to shoot. I tried shooting the body down, and that didn't work.
Yes,
but at one point, I pointed the gun at a little child, and I shouldn't have done that, and I feel bad now. But you know, like there was an option. I decided not to opt to shoot the child. There was an option. Why is this game giving me an option to shoot a child?
I did appreciate the message in the chat that came through, which was just. As I was scrolling up to find it, oh my god, I have the option to shoot a child. I will try not to misclick this time.
Yeah, I mean, so that was the thing.
Which
Like
I think
last time,
is the most like cop thing you've ever said in the game.
I suppose I did not. Oh, that's that. But I did not mean to click. Hit, punch the child earlier in the game.
You have a history now,
and I really didn't. And it was odd that it gave me a choice. And I genuinely, like, of all the many extreme things in this game, I feel like that has been the most extreme and the most uncomfortable I've been. Is
if
like,
do you want to shoot? You do get a game over.
Oh really?
Oh
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh good.
And it says evil cop expelled from force. You know, like, but equally, I have seen sort of Steam reviews, which is like, played this game, 30 minutes in, shot a child, got a game over, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
It is a rare thing to be able to shoot children in video games. Well, this is a strange discussion to have. But,
well, I mean, I think it warrants the conversation because this game is a game of extremism, and I have recommended it to people, and I've said this is a radicalizing game, and I think. I played an absolutely terrible, like, racist game recently called Beat Cop that I left a very negative review because it was a terrible game that was supposed to, appeal to people who enjoyed like 70s cop movies and didn't see anything problematic about it. And I think like that was. It was supposed to be like I get the impression they were thinking of themselves as like, oh, we're having fun / creating a social parody or something. But no, that's not what that was. That was just racist. This I feel like invites people to question and to experience a questioning a moment. And I thought that was interesting, but also uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had the option to shoot a child. Didn't. Okay.
Progress.
Do you want what do you want, like a badge?
And I
like
got
an award,
I got around from the tree by doing something else. Yeah.
Cool.
I wish I'd managed to successfully shoot the tree body down. That would be cool.
Wish I'd managed to successfully shoot that child.
The body down. Down. Damn it.
Not that body, James. No.
From Friends.
Oh no.
Not again.
Oh, beans.
It's so.
I'll have my badge for sure this time.
Just talking about how this game invites you to question. I internalized Mazovian socioeconomics as a thought, and I had this is a sentence we can put in the episode description. I had a thought about the thoughts. I had an interesting thought about the thought cabinet. Mm-hmm. So you know how when you are internalizing a thought, you have like a
penalty.
A penalty, yeah. And I was reading through some of them, and I think this is my theory. I don't know if this is like a deliberate thing or if this is something that's already just widely discussed and known and confirmed in Disco Elysium. But the way I kind of look at it is that the disadvantage that you get, the penalty you get while you're internalizing a particular thought is the kind of reaction to that school of thought. So it's basically like a shallow reading of it.
Yeah.
And while you are internalizing that thought, you have to basically unlearn that initial response. So from Mazovian socioeconomics, which is kind of the game's version of communism, sort of. Well, I'll kind of talk about a bit more about that in a second. It's the penalty you get is you get -2. I think visual calculus. I can't quite specifically remember, but the text is smells like reaction.
Yeah.
So it kind of says this is a reactionary ideology, and doesn't contain anything. And I thought that was really interesting, and I sort of looked at that for a couple of other ones as well, and it's kind of, and So I think the way the thought cabinet is built, it's about you unlearning perceived ideas or received wisdoms about specific concepts, which I think is really interesting. Specifically with Mazovio socioeconomics, I really liked it. I didn't write it down, but the quote was really interesting, where it talked about how this person became so bitter that they stopped talking about what a world under communism would look like, but instead built up a very detailed picture of of how everything else is doing it wrong, which I thought was really good and really interesting, that it became more about what was wrong with the world rather than how to change it. And I think that was a very, very interesting thing to read and a really interesting point. And it was challenging, which kind of goes back to what James was saying.
That sounds so that strikes me. You had a conversation about the Pale, Dev.
Yes.
With Joyce.
Before we move on to the Pale,
yes, go on.
I was just going to say that it rings true with something that happened with me recently, which is not well documented, but I sort of refer to it as I kind of went mad at the beginning of 2020. And it's had a sort of an interesting reaction with like friends and family members and all that jazz. And I had a sort of very difficult conversation with my dad about sort of my relationship with members of my family recently. And I had this thing where, and it's interesting that you say that, because what I had when I first sort of kind of took in this information was reactionary. It was very much like, this is, Razafraz, this is bullshit, how dare they, etc., etc. And having sat with it for like a week, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm sort of feeling different about it now. I kind of have this different sort of view on it. This sort of time has passed, and I sort of, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. There is a giant Daddy Longlegs just chilling on my wall. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, no, I think there is something to it that like you have to kind of unlearn and also accept those new thoughts and new ideas, and it doesn't happen straight away. You have to ponder it.
It's
I think that's it's an interesting game mechanic,
and it is kind of true to life. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how you can love more deeply after your first heartbreak.
Oh, James, you poet. Yes. But you were going to say about the Pale.
Oh, so I was going to ask Dev. Like we've both gone through today this experience, this conversation with the character Joyce about this concept called the Pale, which I'd not come across previously. I'd had the challenge of talk to Joyce about reality for a while, and it was always at 3%. And then I had internalized a thought, which is where I'm putting most of my skill points. Is all on thoughts. I had internalized a thought, which suddenly made it much, much easier to talk to Joyce. I think it was about derealization. And this pale concept came up, and apparently, I think maybe there was a possibility of it coming up elsewhere whilst in conversation with Kim, but it hadn't come up previously.
So,
anyway.
If I could
go on.
quickly interject there. So I spent a lot of time in the bookshop in this play, and I found a book in the paranormal section about the Pale. And you could buy it and interact with it and read it, and the whole time it never tells you what the Pale is. It just assumes that you know what it is, and it has some interesting. Now going back to it, I'm like, I'd be interested to interact with the book again and see if there's anything that can be gleaned from it. But yeah, like, it's interesting. There's little clues peppered throughout the game until you get there, like hinting at it. But yeah, sorry, that was.
Well, towards the end of the conversation with Joyce. You get told what the Pale is, then Joyce asks, what do you think of the Pale? And there are quite a few options that I think, including the option of this will destroy communists and this will liberate everyone, which are, I mean, I don't see how either of those are applicable, but, knock yourself out, Disco Elysium. And it was also cool to have like kind of a roll credits moment of so would you describe this Elysium as disco? Yes, I would. Which was fun.
Yes.
But there was also the option of terrifying, which felt like the most logical choice for this brain invading numbness that is increasing in the world. And I clicked on it, and like the game punishes you for being scared.
Oh wow!
So like I clicked on terrifying as an option, and it was like, and then Joyce was like, oh well, if that's your thought, then this investigation must be going very poorly. Which I don't know what the reaction should have been.
Did you like lose a point of morale or point of health or like?
No, I did lose a point of morale at some point of health at some point of this game.
So I ended up getting to that particular text box, but via a different route. Because instead of click terrifying, I clicked the option that was, I can't quite remember. It was about it's the sort of humanist answer where it's kind of like. I guess it shows our belief in ourselves that we carry on, we continue to carry on. I can't quite remember what the answer was, but basically there were some other conversations, a couple of other leaps, and it got to, well, if this is what you think, then I think it was just the fact that I didn't know, and it's just, well, if you didn't know this, then if you didn't know about the Pale, then clearly the investigation is in trouble.
I see.
So I think it was just skipping a couple of steps there.
It's a really challenging game of like everyone around you everyone around you is a more senior authority of you than you, just because they know more about the world you're in than you do. And so clicking any option can lead to doom because you don't know how it doesn't work within the world of the game.
So on a related note to that, so I realized that I think that picking the silly option or the foolish option is usually kind of a safe bet, because I did a couple of very silly things in this playthrough, and they ended up positive. So first of all,
embrace the chaos.
So I picked up a phone at one point and dialed a random number and then learned something about myself.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Is that the one where you call like a video shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you basically, like, you've still got a copy of this film, and then they tell you about the film. But also, I spoke to Kim about not remembering anything. And first of all, there was the line, "This psychodrama is unbecoming of an officer," which I really liked. And but then also, I ended up speaking to a doctor about the memory loss, and it was quite a. I mean, ostensibly it was a very sad conversation, because the doctor was just like, do we need to go through this again, about how the fact that all of your organs are starting to shut down, like you are destroying yourself, which was quite sad. But also talking about the memory loss, there was a wonderful line that I wrote down, and it was the doctor saying, you've got a whole new life now, use it wisely. And I think it created this interesting idea about the fact that, you know, you've got this character who has kind of destroyed themselves, and then they've almost kind of been reborn in a way, in the form of this game, you know, and that really stuck with me and really hit me quite in a quite interesting way. And I'm not really sure about, like, I think I'm still processing the whole thing about the Pale and the world that this is set in, because at first I thought it might be like a meta thing, being like Revachol is the only thing that actually exists, and kind of doing the Hollow Knight thing where it's kind of like there's a certain point where you just can't go because it's outside the realm of what is known. And I thought it was maybe doing that. I think part of me still thinks they may be doing that, but I think there's a much more interesting thing going on than just this sort of basic meta narrative. But yeah, I ended up having a lot of very, very, very small moments this time round that led to some really lovely moments. I got a really good quote from Joyce towards the end, and basically it was Joyce explaining the woman on the balcony, that the painter dressed in the old coat, that I think has a
Cindy the
Scottish
Skull.
accent.
Cindy the Skull. I love
yeah.
Cindy the Skull.
I love Cindy the Skull very much. Yeah. But it was this line: Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique Capital end up reinforcing it instead. And it's a truism. That's exactly what happens. The rebellion gets absorbed and is sold back to you.
It is a quote most often quoted about the situation at Zalm right now.
Yes. yeah, that's it, isn't it? Like it's
capitalism subsumes all critiques of itself.
It is quite funny how how incredibly, I suppose, researched the theories behind the ideas of this game are. To the point that I couldn't write it because I wouldn't have the access to the information internally to know even how to make up a world based on these ideas. To the point that I'll hear, you'll see someone mention, quote Marx or Nietzsche on Twitter, and you're like, oh God, no, you don't know. You probably don't know what you're talking about, or in real life as well, because I think. There's a film called A Fish Called Wanda, in which one of the characters is kind of the token example of this person who's read philosophy but does not understand philosophy. Not that I'm pretending to understand philosophy, but I think we've quite a few of us have met people who think they understand philosophy, but don't.
Who amongst
yes,
us
precisely
has not?
I think you could imagine any of them trying to make a game like this and coming up with similar language and feeling like you're going through their worldview, which would be probably quite uncomfortable in a way that, in a different way to this game being uncomfortable. But
I think the writer, the main writer is from Estonia, I think, which is, and I'm just going to double check this. I think it's an ex-Soviet bloc country.
Yes.
Yeah, near the Baltic Sea in Northern Europe, bordered by the North Gulf of Finland. Yeah, no, that's very close to Russia. So I would not be surprised if they had their sort of their dalliance with communism or communism light, depending on how you sort of view the Stalinist approximation of socialism. But so yeah, and it's interesting because I've visited countries like Hungary Hungary, that's the one I visited, which is another ex-Soviet bloc, and it's interesting. Attitudes do tend to just be more socialist. They have, which is interesting for Hungary, because Hungary has a very it has Orbán, which is who is essentially a right-wing dictator at this point. But, lots of people kind of remember, back when it was sort of, it wasn't good under Russia, but like the ideology is still sort of kicking underneath the surface. and it's sort of fascinating to kind of like there's even some sort of some absurd contradictions, like the fact that Oban himself was able to study in like Cambridge because of a donation of a left-wing oligarch who lifted up a whole generation of sort of young politicians to go, learn how to do it in England. And unfortunately, we corrupted them. Well, we probably didn't fully corrupt them, but I'm talking out my arse at this point. But
no, that's interesting. That's really
a lot of armchair philosophy in there. I'm one of those people that James mentioned who studied philosophy, but not entirely sure I understood it.
When that was not targeted at you at all, Ollie.
I know.
It was targeted at other people I've met in my life.
Targeted at me.
But people from my school days who just. Well, it's actually no. It is not. It is. I think it was James. I've met a couple, but I think it's mostly people I see on Twitter who, or somebody quoting Voltaire at me to defend their point, and then I'm like, well, this
quoting Voltaire at someone is like quoting fucking.
My response was
Armando Iannucci at them.
Yeah, my response was threefold. One, your point about racism you should not quote Voltaire to argue a point about racism because Voltaire was racist. Two, the quote that you're pointing out, that the person you're quoting is misattributed to Voltaire, was actually from this member of the Ku Klux Klan. And so actually, I think there was threefold, but that's enough. And even I think the third was even if it was like.
Well, I disagree with what you say, but I defend to the death your right to say it.
Again, not Voltaire.
Yeah.
Oh god, people who effectively it's rhetoric, right? It's the appeal to authority. It's annoying. Please stop doing that.
It was just when we were talking about people who read philosophy but don't quite understand it. Like, I feel like there is always a sort of nagging feeling at the back of my brain that I'm one of those people. Which I think perhaps is what everyone should have, is that sort of nagging sense of what if I'm not as clever as I think I am?
It's the psychopath what do you call it? It's the psychopath paradox. If you're worried you're a psychopath, you're not.
Yes.
You just aren't. Because if you were a psychopath, you wouldn't give a shit.
To put things just to add a little bit of a personal kind of thing to this. So the last time James and I saw each other, I was down in London for a few things, and James took me to this wonderful, wonderful place. James will probably be able to describe it better than I'm about to. But basically, it was this sort of college where people would just meet up and talk about ideas and make food for each other and co-work, and I believe they have like hackathons there as well, and lots of people with very interesting jobs and really interesting ideas, and there to specifically talk about these things, and I had a very, very good time. I hope nobody complained about me afterwards, James.
No, I did.
But like I was making a very deliberate attempt to be like, I'm going to shut up and listen, because I feel like I'm in a space where I should be listening rather than talking. And I think that was the kind of click in my brain of, okay, maybe I'm not that person. But that was relevant to what we're talking about. I think that was definitely a humbling experience, but in a very good way.
It is appropriate for this conversation. It is called the London College of Political Technology. So,
well, there you go.
I just had a vision there of them. You saying, Dev, that they complained afterwards. Just them going, James, you know the bylaws. You're not to bring a Scot within 100 foot of the door.
It was more like I wrote out a name tag and I put my pronouns on it, and I'm like, well, this is either going to be good or bad as a result.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's usually the test balloon.
It was nice.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to get more. Well, I don't know. I've been talking audio up in that space for a while now on podcasts as a medium of communication and therefore a tool for change. And it's been kind of a slow adoption and realization. They do not have a podcast yet, and they don't really need a podcast as a college because it's a meeting space. Anyway, how did this relate to? Oh yeah, because of philosophers and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, we're kind of tangenting.
We drifted. It's wonderful. I love it.
But just sorry to just finish the tangent just a little bit. I just love how this game is spurring these kinds of conversations.
I think it does
absolutely.
But I also, to take it back to what we were thinking about before you were playing. Imagine coming in and deciding to make a sequel.
How would you do
without being the person who made it? Like, if you're not of the same mind and experience and temperament of the original designers, if you're just, I did really well with a Flappy Bird clone, and now I want to make something else. It's gonna like the what do you start? Do you start by taking like university degrees in philosophy, history, and biological sciences? At the same time, and just deep dive into all culture and society, and then start writing? Do you hire experts? To what extent do you bring in game designers as opposed to just other experts? I don't know how I don't know how I would have made this game. I can see why it's not easy to clone or copy or imitate.
I think the only thing I've really been properly able to compare it to is Les Miserables, like the book.
Yes.
Like when Victor Hugo set out to write that, he specifically said, I want to write a book about everything. And I get a similar sense from this game. And it's I don't really see how you can make a sequel to a game about everything, I feel like it's something that game designers have been trying to do for ages. Like if you look at like stuff like Civilization or anything that Peter Molyneux has tried and failed to make since the 80s, that game about everything. And I think this is kind of the closest I think we've got, at least at this junction.
Purely in one term of it, I think something which I've been thinking about is the board game Monopoly, because it is
interesting.
Yeah, because it was designed to highlight the poor the ramifications of capitalism, and it became a favorite amongst people who loved capitalism. And I think it is used to explore. It is used to explore those ideas by quite a few people, or just enjoy it. But in terms of that idea, that identifying different aspects of certainly that area of political thought around, like how damaging rent is, how one person will end up with all the money, how you can change how the game works if you add your own rules, but you will only end up delaying the inevitable for most variations of the game. That radicalizing thinking is kind of mirrored here and expanded upon.
This game talks about so much, and it does it in such an easy way. It makes it look easy, and it does it in a way that's very engaging. It manages to take very complex ideas and make them very engaging, which I think is what all the best art does. I think it's the dream of what people who make things want to do. It's definitely something that I want to do, and it's something I try to do in everything that I make. And try and take an idea that's quite abstract and make it personal. And this game does that, and it's incredible to see, and it's incredible to experience.
Ollie, how did you die?
How did I die?
I was just about to ask that as well.
How does anyone die? You
were doing so well, and you had so many hit points.
I did. So I died instantly. That was one of the things. Is that you can't dodge a bullet.
Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, you've done the very good storytelling thing of starting at the end there.
So
in media res.
I'm chatting to Titus, right?
Yes.
And Titus Hardy and the Hardy Boys, and things are going well. and I'm finally at the point where Titus is at the end of his tether, and I'm like, right, I need to. And for reference here, I have 1 point in rhetoric, and I have a very hard check to make with my 1 point in rhetoric, and I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this. I've got like 7 different ticks that give me a little +1, so I've got +7 to the roll, but that means I have an 8% chance to succeed. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's roll the dice. Roll the dice, fail, lose some health. I'm like, okay, let's try again. This time I'm like, Kim, you take the lead. Kim takes the lead, and it's starting to go well, and then they start to break, and I'm like, oh, they're starting to break. And the guy they called Fat Angus is starting to, like, unravel. And Theo, the old black guy who's the kind of former leader of the Titus the Hardy Boys, pulls a gun.
Oh my god.
He doesn't like pull it all the way, but he like puts his hand on it, and like Kim puts his hand on his, and I, instead of pushing Angus like I should have, I pushed Theo.
No.
And Theo isn't about my cracker bullshit, and he shoots me dead.
Wow.
And then Kim gets into a gunfight, and it says 2 police officers slain.
Oh, you killed
in
Kim!
Gang warfare. Yeah, Kim
Kim
got
killed as well.
Yeah.
No! That's he's our favourite.
Ollie.
Well, this is the Disco Elysium way. And then and it was quite annoying because I'd just done this whole thing about pinball. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to redo that thing about pinball. But I had failed my pinball checks, and I wanted to succeed them. So,
okay.
There is a
I
temptation
will
to
go
just
back
go
and do
back
that.
and, after you fail, just... I mean, it would be cheating and boring, but it's like, no, come on, I failed a 90% check. That's not supposed to be happening. That's yeah. It's so frustrating when, like, especially a couple of times, not once, but like twice in this game, or maybe 3 times in this game, I don't feel like there's anything I can do apart from try these really low possibility checks. I'm just wandering around not doing anything, and that will end quite quickly because I'll come across something I haven't discovered yet. But once or twice I've been like, what the hell do I do? Because I feel like I failed all the good checks and I've only got bad checks to make now.
You become that Vince. I was about to say Vince Vaughn, not Vince Vaughn. That from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I assumed that's who you meant by Vince. But Vince is the... is that Samuel L. Jackson's character, or is that John Travolta's character?
John Travolta. John Travolta's the guy I'm looking for. You become that gif of John Travolta with his coat just kind of looking around the room.
When he's visiting Mia... When he's the home of Mia Wallace, looking around for the...
Yes, he's like, what do I do?
Mia's calling... Vincent. Yeah, Vincent...
Yeah.
Oh, I should know the name. Doesn't matter.
I think he's like Vega.
Vincent Vega. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the other guy's name?
Man, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I could watch that again.
It's a good film.
Been a while.
It's a well-made film. It's
We should start a movie podcast.
Hey, I mean, it's surprising no one's done it already.
3 critics in a trench coat.
Oh.
Wait, did you say you're surprised no one's done it? As in nobody started a film review podcast?
I mean, you'd think it would, because it's such a popular medium. Maybe it's because it's the audio.
One of the podcasts I listen to regularly is a film review podcast.
Sure.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I have a friend who actually has.
Just because you're quite blinkered into the audio fiction community, and like, I don't know what your knowledge outside of audio fiction podcasts are, and so sometimes you can say things like that, and I'm like, does he know?
I am fairly confident that someone came up with the idea of let's watch X thing and discuss.
It's not like the most popular British podcast is the Mark Commode and Simon Mayo film review.
Oh, I have actually listened to that. But mostly I've watched I've watched their reviews on YouTube. Mark Commode has some really funny rants. Watch his rant on Sex and the City. It's brilliant.
I have
It's
seen
very good. It's classic.
Well, Mark Commode's rant on Sex and the City comes straight out of Disco Elysium.
We talk about Disco Elysium radical. Mark Como's rant about Sex and the City is what radicalized me.
Mark Kermode's rant about Sex and the City is the first time I heard about the Internationale. The song.
It's on the BBC as well.
Yeah. Oh, they don't make them like they used to.
Back in the day, yeah. Oh.
Back in the day of 2006.
I don't want to sort of disregard that point and get back to the game, but like, I found a map.
You found the map?
Yes, tell us about this map.
Map makes things so much easier. Oh my goodness! Do you know what the map does? That makes me want to kiss the map and whisper sweet nothings to the map. The map, if you look at the map when it's on your screen, when you can interact with it, it shows you where all your checks are, and it tells you where they are, and it tells you what you need to check. So it shows you where all the white checks are, so it shows you where you still need to progress the game. You just need to come back. You just need to upgrade your skills a little bit and come back, or you can try them again. It shows you where things are, where it's just like, okay, there's something here that you haven't passed a check for yet. You're still getting there, and it makes getting around. And also, like, people keep telling me to go places, and now I can finally know where they are. People keep talking about the fishing village, and it was only today that I realized that I can't get to the fishing village yet. So I basically went, okay, like 2 of the 3 big quests that I have, I can't do yet because I can't go across the bridge yet. So that's fine. So it meant that I was just like, right, okay, now I know that I can actually focus on the other stuff of where I am, where I currently am,
and have a derealization moment.
Yes, have the derealization moment. Do a lot of internalizing. Read an entire book. That was amazing.
It was. I had a similar moment. So I went back to the woman who's lost her husband, who was talking about cryptids, of which Kim says, oh, we don't have time for this. And Kim keeps interrupting, saying, I'm not sure this is the best use of our time. And after Kim left with the body, did either of you take the boots? Try to take the boots.
I have in previous lifetimes taken the boots.
I tried and it failed.
I think there was an option of allow Kim to go home, come out at night after he's gone home and take the boots. And there was also the option of don't write the boots down in the autopsy report, which I was like, you know what? Like, I think what I want to be in this game is, at the very least, a detective, some integrity, a good cop.
Yeah.
At least one with integrity. I'm not sure good is on the table anymore.
Between smacking children and pointing guns at them.
I'm not sure.
I want to be a good
I'm not sure good is on the table anymore. But have integrity felt like a good. Like, it felt like, because we're trying to discover, as much as we're building our characters.
I guess there is some integrity to child violence. It's like, as long as you stick to it,
There's a consistency. That's
it's consistency that matters.
Make sure your moral core is consistent. Yeah, okay. But it's a video game. It's supposed to be a fantasy, so I don't really want to be shooting children.
That's the pull quote. That's the pull quote. That's for the poster.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I just
lot of good chunk of silence around it, so it's easily editable.
It's going to be the audiogram.
I'm so uncomfortable about how this episode's gone, and how
we'll get animated by deep blue ink at some point.
What I have said. This game. I mean, I can't.
I love how you keep talking about how it's the game.
The game made me do it.
No, look what the game made me do.
All those alarmists from the 90s were right. Sorry, James.
Sorry, James.
No. I get it. It's my fault. Oh man. I don't even know what to do anymore. I just wanted to climb the ladder and get the body down from the tree. The game didn't offer that as an option. The game was like, just children who look like they could climb the ladder. Let's talk to the children. That's the children just try to attack you. It's like
so this should end with if there were any justice in the world, this should end with buddy, you're a big boy. But the boom boom claps are the James shooting the child twice, and the clap is him backhanding the child.
I was really hoping to cut out the child shooting in the edit.
No way!
Oh god! I can't recommend this to any of my friends.
This ain't Be Our Friend. This is mutually assured destruction.
Oh my god! I just.
Okay, we have to stop because I'm going to die.
Join us next time on
God.
Three Detectives in a Trench Coat.
Two detectives in a trench coat.
Two detectives in a
R.I.P. Dev.
Oh dear.
Died laughing at child.
I mean, this might be the
punching.
first time that someone's been cancelled before they've become famous.
No, it's all good. It's a game. It's a video game.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
Oh, God.
It's all good. But yes, we will see you next time, and there will be less child violence, hopefully.
Oh god,
But who
I hope
knows?
so. Oh.
There's a whole new island to explore. Three detectives in a trench coat. Three detectives in a trench coat.
Thank you for listening to Three Detectives in a Trench Coat. The three detectives are James Curtis, Oliver Morris, and Amber Devereaux. The podcast is edited by Oliver Morris and Amber Devereaux with original music by Oliver Morris. To find out more about the detectives and some of their previous casework, check the show notes.
Thank you for listening. Love you. Bye.
Buddy, you're a boy, you're a big, big boy, you're a big boy. Got mud on your face, you big boy. Kicking your can all over the place, singing we